Good morning, students. Welcome to the class. We were discussing organolithium reagents. We will continue our discussion. We were discussing some important introduction to organolithium reagents. Now we will see n-butyl lithium structure. N-butyl lithium in TM, EDA, THF, and DME. It is tetrameric. No, you just look at these details. You don't need to by heart them. You just once have a look at this. In cyclohexane, benzene, and ether, it is hexameric. In a mixture of hexane and TMEDA, and butyl lithium is monomeric. Tertiary butyl lithium in hexane and benzene, it is tetrameric. Phenyl lithium in ether, it is dimeric. When we compare tertiary butyl lithium, secondary butyl lithium, and n-butyl lithium for their reactivity and stability, generally tertiary butyl lithium is more reactive. Tertiary butyl lithium is more reactive in the sense mostly tertiary butyl lithium acts as a base, so it is more basic in nature. So it is more basic in nature, at the same time it is more reactive. And on the other hand, we know stability is inversely proportional to reactivity. So when we look at the stability, n-butyl lithium is more stable. Not only these lithium reagents, we can also prepare some strong bases when we add amine and any of these alkyl lithium reagents. So when we add NN diisopropyl amine with alkyl lithium, what we will get is lithium diisopropyl amide, LDA. Lithium diisopropyl amide, LDA, which is a very, very strong base. We will in situ prepare many such bases using organolithium reagents. This is lithium tetramethyl pyrrolidone. And similarly, we also have hexamethylsilazamide. So this is lithium hexamethyl disilazamide. When we add this base NH and an alkyl lithium, they will in situ generate these bases, which are particularly useful for only proton abstraction. They can't act as a nucleophile. These are called harpoon bases. And these are all bulkier bases. When we say bulkier, we can easily understand its reactivity. They abstracts protons from sterically less crowded sites. At the same time, they are only bases, they are not nucleophiles. How do we prepare these bases? I'll just give one example. When we mix isopropylamine, diisopropylamine and N-butyl lithium, generally all these alkyl lithium reagents will be used at minus 78 degrees centigrade because at higher temperatures there is also a possibility for the abstraction of proton by the alkyl lithium reagent from the solvent, either THF or ether. So generally alkyl lithium reagents are handled at minus 78 degrees centigrade. Right. So when we mix these two, N-butyl lithium, butyl anion will pick up this proton. So it generates diisopropylamide LDA plus N-butane. Of course, N-butane is a gas, so it will escape from the reaction mixture. So ultimately what we have, when we mix these two, we have only LDA. Right. So this is how we can easily prepare these harpoon bases in situ. Whenever we want to use them, we can readily prepare them. And another important point, tertiary amines, crown ethers, and potassium tertiary butoxide. These are all strong bases. At the same time, when they are when we use alkyl lithium along with any of these bases, when we mix alkyl lithium and these bases increase the reactivity of alkyl lithium. They'll increase the basicity as well as nucleophilicity. So we can simply say the reactivity of alkyl lithium. So don't confuse that whenever we use some alkyl lithium and a tertiary amine or a crown ether or a potassium tertiary butoxide, don't confuse that why we are using an alkali as well as an alkyl lithium reagent. Because to increase the reactivity, we generally use tertiary amines, crown ethers or potassium tertiary butoxides along with alkyl lithium reagents. Now we will discuss the structure of LDA. LDA in THF, it is both monomeric as well as dimeric. Now we will look at the half-life of some of these reagents. Please don't by heart them. We don't need. You just have a look at this information. Tertiary butyl lithium in THF, its half-life is 338 minutes at minus 40 degrees centigrade, and it is 42 minutes at minus 20 degrees centigrade. So that means when we increase the temperature, the half-life is getting decreased. tertiary butyl lithium in DME. It is 11 minutes at minus 70 degrees centigrade, and it is less than 2 minutes at minus 40 degrees centigrade. So they are very, very unstable at higher temperatures. So we must use these reagents at very low temperatures. And butyl lithium in THF, it is 1039 minutes at 0 degrees centigrade, but it is only 38 minutes at 20 degrees centigrade. And butyl lithium in DME, it is just 11 minutes at minus 20 degrees centigrade. All these reagents are commercially available. Generally, we will get them in either ether solution or hexane solution or pentane solutions. Then how do we measure the concentration of these things? Of course, when we buy the compound, they will specify the concentrations. But how do we measure when we prepare these reagents? The concentration of organolithium reagents are better understood from the Gilman double titration experiment. What is this Gilman double titration experiment? We will mix some unknown concentrations of alkyl lithium as well as a base, generally an alkoxide. So the mixture will be made into two parts. The first alicate, first part, we will titrate it against water and then with the standard HCl. What we are having? We are having some alkyl lithium and some base, alkoxide. When we titrate it with water, what happens? Alkyl lithium becomes alkane plus lithium hydroxide. So we are generating a base. So in the first alicate, when we titrate it with water, then we are generating a base. We already have another alkoxide base. So after the first titration, we have two bases. The bases can be titrated against standard HCl so that we can know the concentrations of both these reagents, lithium hydroxide as well as lithium alkoxide. When we want to know the concentration of RLI, we just need lithium hydroxide concentration, because one molecule of alkyl lithium will generate one molecule of lithium hydroxide. So if we know the lithium hydroxide concentration, we know the alkyl lithium. Then in the second alicate, the second portion, it is titrated with benzyl chloride. When we titrate it with benzyl chloride, what is the product? R minus will undergo a nucleophilic substitution. Generally, they'll undergo SN2 reactions and it generates plus lithium chloride. Lithium chloride is a salt and we follow the same procedure then. First, we will titrate it with some benzyl chloride and then we follow the same titration. First titration with water and then with the standard HCl. When we titrate this mixture with the water, probably there will be no change because it is a salt. We generate equal amounts of base as well as acid. So water titration will not give any differences. Then when we titrate it the HCl, when we titrate it with HCl, we will get the concentration of alkoxide ion, right? So in the second titration, first we will treat alkyl lithium with benzyl chloride. So it undergoes an SN2 reaction to generate an alkane plus lithium chloride. Lithium chloride is a salt. So titration with water will not change, will not differ anything. Okay. So it will not give you any inference. Then when we titrate it with alkoxide, that will give the concentration of sorry, when we titrate it with the HCl, that will give the concentration of base, alkoxide ion base. So from the first titration, we have the concentrations of both LiOH plus alkoxide. From the second titration, we have the concentration of only alkoxide. So when we take the difference will give the RLI concentration. So this is generally what is called Gilman double titration experiment.